Hello and welcome back to the AI Marketer's Playbook, where we cover actionable frameworks to help you leverage AI and marketing strategies in your business. I'm Audrey Chia, your host, and today I have with me Jairo Guerrero, a software engineer turned marketer with over a decade of experience in the e-commerce space. Now, Jairo has built websites, scaled paid ads, and carved out some serious SEO wins, including helping a client dominate a super competitive marketplace and secure a multi-million dollar euro acquisition. Now, Jairo is the co-founder of Organic Hackers, where he helps big brands with, not so great SEO turn things around using technical SEO, smart automation, and strategic content. Today, Jairo is here to talk about something super interesting, the changing face of search and how AI is quietly reshaping the rules of the game. Jairo, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you very much for having me, Audrey. It's a pleasure. I was looking forward to share some insights from using LLMs and AI as our marketing channel.
Awesome to hear. Could you tell us a bit more about your story? I know you were in SEO long before AI started. Tell us where you started and how did AI come into that picture?
Well, my background is technical. I'm a software engineer. And then when I started freelancing, I realized that marketing had a lot more impact than my skills as a software engineer. Like I could just generate more revenue and more sales to my clients, not because of technology, but just because using paid channels like Google Ads. From there, I went from paid channels to organic traffic, and then I realized that SEO is one of the most scalable channels ever. Even though now things are changing, it's still very powerful. I've been focusing a lot more in the past 5 years only on SEO, but the last 10 years I've been working with SEO and building websites and paid channels, mostly on the e-commerce spectrum. But I'm also helping B2B companies in the software space or in the tech space. That's more or less what I hope I can share and fit within these 30 minutes today.
Yeah, and when AI came along, what happened then? Like, was it a big shift for you? Were you excited to embrace it? Tell us what it was like.
So I think has been a very long process of adaptation. So there is no moment where I said, okay, I'm going to just start using AI. Has been a very long journey, especially if you're in the tech space, if you're a software engineer, machine learning and big data has been in the game for a very long time. So you could use and leverage decision making through algorithms. So for me, that was nothing new. The part that was new was that it was in the mass market and everybody could use such a intelligence and such a technology with tools like ChatGPT, and it made easier to automate small processes. So for example, we work with a lot of data analysis. So we have a bunch of data points that we need to analyze. So that came to be a bit faster. So we started implementing data analysis with AI, which makes our process slightly easier, but it doesn't take us away from the picture. So mostly in the processes automation rather than in generating content. Eventually, when we have to create content for our clients, we have a pool of writers and experts on the matter. So we don't need to actually we eventually trust that they use AI, but in the best way possible. But we don't use AI so much to generate content. We use it to automate processes and be a bit more efficient in that sense.
Wow, that's interesting to hear, right? Because most people would assume that AI-generated content would be the focus of this shift, but you're also talking about using AI to streamline your own company's work processes while helping your clients drive results, right? And for maybe people who don't really understand, because SEO is such a big word, people throw it around, but not many people understand what on earth is it. Can you tell us a bit more in simple terms what SEO is and how it has evolved with AI?
Wow, this is a very challenging question. What is SEO? So basically, through the years until ChatGPT and Search GPT, most importantly, came to play, SEO was pretty much being number one or being top 3 choices on Google search. So what you want is that your business is authoritative, has enough online footprint, meaning that your brand is mentioned by others, that your brand appears in different digital assets. It can be in the news, it can be in social media. So all of that kind of strength makes your brand strong and helps you to rank for the terms that you want to be visible. Let's say that you sell, shoes. So whenever somebody is searching for shoes online, you want to be visible because eventually those are potential customers. Plus, being visible organically through Google makes it very sustainable because you don't need to pay for every click that comes to your website and is exponential. So in this case, for example, the biggest win that I ever had with a client, we went from, for example, 2,000 visitors a day to 60,000 visitors in one day. So that multiplier is impossible to replicate in pretty much any channel. And the sustainability of it, because we didn't reach that amount of visitors per day in one day. We went through multiple months with a heavy amount of visitors in our website. And that is not possible with any other channel. Social media, you could go from 0 to 100,000 in a very short time, but it's not sustainable. With any other channel, paid channel, you cannot pay your way from 2K to 60K because
It
it
will
will
cost
be
a lot.
unsustainable.
Yes.
Yeah. So because of the power and the impact that SEO could have in a business and eventually in the lives of many, I decided to just entirely focus there and leave paid channels and development behind. But those experiences helped me to actually leverage a much better service in terms of SEO. And how AI changed all of these spectrum of search is, so before or currently we are, depending on who you are, what type of user you are. So not everybody's using ChatGPT at the moment. Most of us, but not all of us. So the people that do not use ChatGPT, they need to find the information through Google, and they need to curate, read the information, and make up their minds. So they need to make a decision based on different sources, as opposed to ChatGPT, where you have to actually just ask a question and you don't need to look at different sources. You just get all the answer that you want and you don't need to do anything else. So that differentiation of result is what is changing how we do SEO. Before it was entirely focused on Google. Now it's focused on search engines like Perplexity, for example. So how do they gather information? How do they quote, or which sources do they quote? Sometimes they don't even quote the sources of information. So there's a lot of stolen traffic and stolen attention from those platforms towards the actual publishers and website owners. So there's a huge shift in terms of traffic and attention. So now as a SEO professionals, we need to understand how to invest the budget, how to leverage to be mentioned at least by AI search engines. Because now being mentioned, I guess, is the most important task that we need to achieve. So that's one of the biggest changes that we currently are just learning as we go, because there's no playbook or anything like that. But our main goal has shifted from only Google-centered marketing strategy towards every single platform strategy, not even including search engines. We could go to social media. So how you appear more often in social media, how you appear more often on YouTube, how you appear more often in different channels, and everything around it will just boost your results. So it's kind of going from one channel, only Google, towards multiple channels altogether, like not even in search, but social media, paid, whatever channel you might think of.
It sounds like it's gonna be so much more challenging now for SEO professionals to navigate this changing world, right? It's like now you gotta diversify and be everywhere. But I know you said there is no playbook for how to rank on an AI search, right? So how has your agency been navigating that? And how are you helping clients figure out how to be seen on perhaps ChatGPT or Perplexity?
So many times, so this is very funny. I had quite some prospects that they didn't want to do SEO. They wanted to do, I don't know how do they call it, but they only want the AI search. They don't want Google anymore.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, yeah, that was my first reaction. So there is a mindset split between what SEO used to be, what SEO is, and what AI search is. And there's a huge overlap between the search results on AI search, depending on the vertical, of course. I'm not saying they are the same, but there's an overlap in terms of, if you are number one on Google, there's high chances that you will be number one on SearchGPT. But there's so many changes, and AI search is so volatile right now that it is very difficult to conclude something. But I'd say that in the tech space, things that are not so harmful, so everything that is outside health, outside anything that can harm by the wrong advice, it is not so difficult in terms of using it as a marketing channel. For example, I'm working with tech companies that sell, I don't know, devices, technical devices, screens, IoT products. So those industries are a bit safer because they don't harm anybody. So ChatGPT can eventually quote other sources. They can quote different websites. And as long as you have a very strong strategy for SEO, you're pretty much well in other rankings, in other search engines. For example, ChatGPT eventually uses Bing search engine as a base, one of the sources of information. So if you can rank well in Bing, which means that you're ranking well already on Google, there's a huge overlap in the sense like you don't need to do extra and more and more.
Interesting.
So there's first an overlap. So sometimes I say, listen, we could go down the path of just going AI search, but there's a lot to win on good old-fashioned SEO. There's a lot of customers. The platform has like, I don't know, a gazillion searches per second. So why switching so quickly? So it's a new fancy thing, of course, but sometimes I say, if you want to go that path, then just reserve a budget for research and development, because that eventually won't get you anything back anytime soon. So I'm trying to split towards what is your goals, how you want to achieve your current revenue goals. And based on that, I help them to understand, well, okay, then let's do this strategy based on transactional queries, on things that will bring you revenue. Or let's just play around and do research and development, but you need to be aware that there's no ROI there anytime soon. So there's no return on investment. So that, I don't know if that covers the question that you framed.
But it's so interesting, right? Because I think you mentioned there needs to be more time spent on research and development. I think there are a lot of people out there who may talk about AI SEO, but at the same time, it's changing so rapidly, and the field is so evolving so quickly, right? There needs to be a lot more insight into how it actually works. I wanted to pivot a bit into another question that I've seen most people ask, and even I have that question, right? So going back to traditional search, right? Is AI generated content penalized on Google, or is that still a big question that nobody knows?
So not by definition, it's not penalized. So because AI generated content is not a bad thing per definition. So for example, I have sometimes a lot of thoughts, a lot of conclusions that I do because I analyze many websites, and then I try to build a post about it for LinkedIn. And then what I do is I just put all my rubbish in ChatGPT and say, can you help me to frame this better? So, and also English is not my first language, so I might have typos or grammar errors. So the output is an AI generated content based on the input that I gave. So that is actually unique content based on what I gave. So by definition, AI generated content is not bad. So it's not penalized because it's just AI generated. How it's penalized is on a different angle. So most people, because of AI generated content, doesn't cost much to generate. They generate hundreds of pages with it. Now the problem with it is that everybody's doing the same. So and you need to take into account that search engines need to crawl, especially Google, needs to crawl every single website, every single page. So that is trillions and trillions of web pages that need to be crawled. And now that everybody's publishing AI generated content in bulk, now that has multiplied by 10 or by 100. That costs a lot of money for Google to do that crawling and indexing so analyzing if your page is good. And so the more pages you have, or the more pages we all publish, the less chances you have to win. In the sense of Google understands that you can only publish a specific amount of pages per day. If you publish 1,000 pages all at once, that is a bit too much. That is something that even if Google will be able to crawl it, it will take way too much time because everybody's doing the same. So I've seen many cases in which the solution was AI generated content because they don't need to write much, so everything is generated easily. And what happened is that they sink the rankings because the quality of what they published was not good. So the entire kind of perspective of the quality of the website was lowered. So now pages that were doing before really good, now they aren't. And the entire website just decreased rankings, lost traffic, lost sales, lost everything. And I've seen a couple of cases like that. So in the beginning, that might help because it's content that is fed into the machine, but then the machine also compares. So it's not like an isolated website that they see. They see hundreds of websites within your niche, and they need to test which ones are best. So the quality versus the amount is what will make your website rank or not. So if there's literally no competition, you can publish endless AI generated content and you will win. But if there's hard competition, if there's a lot of demand, Google might be a bit more cautious about the results that they search, and they test. Sometimes they put you number 1, sometimes they put you number 4, and they see which results trigger best experience or best engagement. And then your website might be penalized, not because of the AI generated content. It's because in perspective, against your competitors, you're doing a lot worse. So if your problem is that you don't have enough content, the solution is not to publish all of a sudden thousands and thousands of pages that have no value. Your solution is go and be active on social media, be active on LinkedIn, so people will see the authority of your profile and they will link in towards your business. Run digital PR campaigns, appear in the news, appear in the newspaper, make noise as a brand. So we need to be visible and strong. So every business needs to be focusing a lot more on that and a lot less on shortcuts like let's publish 20,000 pages for no reason, because that won't be working. Not because of Google will penalize it because AI generated content. It's because there is a lot of different factors. So yeah.
Wow. And I think the key point that I took out is the part of quality, right? Like AI generated content doesn't mean it's good quality content, and you always have to add that, human touch. Even for copywriting, when I use AI in my workflows, there's always that additional human touch, human story, or human flair that gets the copy to a standard that I want it to be. And can I ask, for people who perhaps, want to use AI tools to build their blogs, what can they do to then make sure that the quality of the articles still remain really high?
So there is a lot of enhancement tools for when you're writing. Again, as I said, sometimes my English is not good, my thoughts are not correctly framed. So if I write straight from my head, it will be messy. So indeed, you can use tools to make it everything easier. You can use those tools to see whether what others are posting and kind of level up your quality. There is a tool that I use a lot that is called Surfer, like a surfing the sea. So Surfer SEO is known. It was built a few years ago. And such a tool helps you to first understand what you're missing. Because sometimes, let's say that we're posting on our website about how to build a podcast, and then we are missing specific angles of that topic. So what tools can you use to build a podcast, AI to build a podcast, or different ways that you can talk about the same topic. And sometimes you just miss it. You just don't know. And the tool, what helps you is to match the search intent in your industry. And they tell you what you're missing that is relevant for your industry, for your website. So they don't tell you just random topics or random keywords. They tell you, listen, within your niche, within the topics that you're writing about, this is where you're missing and this is why. And then after, because they have a map, a topical map they call, and it's literally a map. You can see what you're missing. Is fantastic. And then you can just select the topic that you're missing, and you can just go click and generate, and either can generate the entire thing, so you can just edit it, and they have a fantastic editor for your content. You can prompt in your own article to generate whatever you want. You can modify it. I think they added lately generation of images, but I like to create the infographics, so I don't use that much. But that tool, I find it very, very complete in terms of generating content with a good AI-backed intelligence.
And so the question then is, if everyone is using Surfer, right, to generate articles about a specific product, then how would one company win another if it's all AI generated content? So what do then teams need to do to make sure that it's not all the same?
So I guess with or without AI, I think the same will apply. So I had multiple cases where I have multiple clients within the same industry. Actually, they were competitors, which is not the best situation where you have to be, because then there's a lot of risk involved. So you have, in not many cases, all of the cases happen this. So I have one website that is not like the best. I will give it a 6 out of 10, but they were very active on the media. So they appear in many publications all across the CNN, the CBS, US digital assets news. And the website was not like fantastic. Their articles were like, okay. And then I had this other client within the exact same vertical, and they didn't have anything of that. They had some influencers collaborations. They had some appearance also in digital assets and digital PR campaigns, but they were not so focused, and they were not so strong in that area. But their website was a 9 out of 10. So their setup, so the asset as an SEO was fantastic, was way better than the other competitor. Yet the other competitor was always winning. Every single topic, every single keyword, they were ranking number one above the other company. So that in the end summarizes everything. They had a much stronger appearance. They were much better known to the public, and that pays your way up to the top rankings. It's a consequence, I guess. Like Google knows, let's say, knows as much as a regular person might know. So you know IKEA, so IKEA might come first place. There are many ways, of course, that you can overcome that that burden, but working on online presence, I think, is the most important.
Wow, and that's very interesting to hear, right? So you have companies again in the same niche, and yet they outperform because of other factors that can contribute to this. Going back to what you said about search, right? You mentioned that now traditionally, you perhaps look to optimize on Google, and now you have to optimize on different platforms for AI search. Can you tell us more about that process? So for a company who's saying, I want to appear on Perplexity or ChatGPT, where do they begin?
Um, I'd say that actually where you begin, it will be extremely similar, if not the same, for all the channels. So where you begin is you need to match where your customers are, what they want, and what you have, and make a match between those. Because many times SEO fails because there's no match between our audience and the content that we publish. So most of the time I come to a website that has zero relevance for the audience, and that is the main problem. And then we write good articles for what the audience wants that has a relatively good market or good demand. And then we go up the rankings pretty quickly. So I would say match first what people want with what you can provide, and then match it with how good is that for the business. What you want in the end is if you appear in any channel, try to, depending on which stage, if you're a corporate, of course, you have a lot more money to invest. If you are a startup, you need money tomorrow. So you need a client to sign up tomorrow, the latest. So depending on that urgency of revenue, I would say for transactional queries, there is more chances on Google. So just keep doing your SEO as you would. Good content strategy, good topic strategy, focus on the content that will be attached to the revenue. So if you sell shoes, try to be appearing for best shoes for men running. So you need to be available for that query. And if you want to appear in other platforms that summarize the information, which means that people won't buy immediately, make sure that you craft extremely valuable and simple content to read, and that is extremely quotable. So for example, if somebody's asking, what are the best running shoes for men? Give me a list. You need to make sure that you can craft answers for that. Extremely easy to quote, extremely simple, and that go to the point of your answer straight away. The more online footprint that you have, the easier we'll get to get you as a source. So participate in as many podcasts as you want, be visible on social media, be really active on giving or leaving a trace behind you in terms of brand. Because I think that will be the most important asset for any channel. Like as I said, before I had clients that had a very strong online presence and they didn't have to do much else. So I will say that is the core focus.
Yeah, I think like what you mentioned, being present on different channels, also strategically and with intent matters. So if someone is searching on Google, do you think they will have a different search behavior as if they were to use ChatGPT? And does it affect how brands should be reacting?
Yeah, so in Google, I think is going down towards more transactional marketplace. So you use Google whenever you really want to buy something or whenever you need to fix something straight away. So it's more urgency based. And Perplexity or ChatGPT, we have it open the entire day through our workday. So it is a more companion that we use to check some things, get me some information, give me some ideas. So the intent is not urgency. So I don't have the time. I don't have the need to buy something. That will come with time. I guess ChatGPT will launch soon an e-commerce platform, and we will all go there to buy something. But the search intent, yeah, I think most of the time in AI search platforms, we don't know them as AI search platforms. We know them as a chatbot that we can interact and get something out of it, but we never get anything back from Google, for example, directly. because we want something, we want to touch something, we want to buy something, we want to go travel something. And also because of the limitations of the other platforms that they cannot help you to book or do everything automated at the moment. We use it a lot more as an informational intent. So we want information to use it in the way that we want. And Google is more, I want to solve a problem right now. So I would say for, if you want to focus on revenue, go and do Google, focus on Google. If you want to focus on visibility and making sure that you are safe and covered for AI search, go to develop strategies for platforms like ChatGPT and Perplexity and Claude and all the other platforms.
Do you think that, I know you mentioned Claude and ChatGPT and Perplexity, that's already 3 different platforms, right? Do you think that the way brands have to optimize for each platform has to be different? So do you think there needs to be a more granular strategy for every single, AI search platform?
Even per model, the results change. Per model within the same AI search engine. So yeah, it is almost impossible to be so active in every single task that you need to do to be present in every single search channel. But for now, I would say focus on the biggest always. Depending on the budget, if you have plenty of money to invest in development and research, just go and do whatever you want. Claude is known because they are good with coding, same as Copilot. ChatGPT is good for everything. Gemini is very powerful, but yeah, go and test. Like there is no specific playbook yet. It's a lot about testing and making sure that you run the same query in different. So there is these visibility tools for LLMs. Just get one of those and launch your query, your relevant queries into those platforms and see if you appear, if you don't appear, and who appears and why they appear. But don't overanalyze because the results are extremely volatile right now. They change very often, and every single model update might change everything.
I think that's the most exciting part about AI, but also can be very daunting, right? It changes so quickly, and it's so hard for people, even us AI first founders, to keep up. How do you feel like SEO agencies are navigating this whole new world? I'm sure it must have come as a big shock, as it came, with a big shock for copywriters and marketers as well. What have you seen and noticed?
It's been difficult. So because of AI, the perceived value of what you do as a copywriter or as an SEO is lowered. Like if ChatGPT can do it, why should I pay you, for example? Which is totally fair. Like in the end, our clients focus on money, on revenue, of course, and results. But if you can do something for 10th the price, then it might be worth looking at it. To me, was more. So indeed, we had issues with companies that wanted to buy only content-driven SEO. And then we realized that there is a good niche still, and there is a lot of developments to do in technical SEO because the website has become bigger. Big brands want to test different methods with AI or just want to optimize their website. And everybody's focused on the shiny thing, which is AI content or AI generation. And nobody's focusing on technical SEO, which is actually extremely complex and extremely hard for many SEOs because not everybody has a technical background. So we realized that there's a lot of corporate companies that still rely on regular technical SEO. So we found a good niche still there, and then we find companies and clients that want to work with us in that niche, and we are good at it. But we indeed saw a drop in the companies that want content as a deliverable, as a value for them. So for us was, okay, if people don't want one of our services, how we can improve the service, which we are still in the process of automating as much as possible the content SEO campaigns. But then we found another vertical, which is technical SEO, which is very, very difficult to automate. Nobody's paying attention. You need a high level of technical abilities to provide value, and there's not much competition. So we navigated getting out of the AI content, and we went more to a niche that pretty much is empty and nobody's focusing on.
Wow, I
but
love that.
It's complex, yeah.
No, but it's so beautiful, right? So you like a new, AI comes to take over our jobs, and then clients are saying, no, I don't want to do this anymore. But yet you found something within your existing scope of work that is
Yeah.
something you can do, that's something you have talent for, and that's something that clients still need and cannot be as easily replaced with AI. And that also
Yeah.
then presents your agency the opportunity to grow in ways that you might not even have thought of before this, big AI transition and shift. And I think that AI gives us, as creators, founders, new ways to solve problems. And you have to think, like what you said, very creatively and
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
of the box. I know,
Yeah.
I know you
100%.
mentioned something about automation, right? You were looking for ways to automate a lot of the processes in your agency. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So the the analysis that we do in every campaign takes a lot of time. So eventually we analyze the competitors, we gather a lot of data, we create like a content playbook, so we know who are we writing for. So we create a lot of documentation, and that is valid for any channel. We create it from the perspective of SEO, but it can be and has been reused to different channels, so newsletters, podcasts, or YouTube, or even events, where we kind of know who are we talking to. This is our profile. This is what we have to provide them value. And that takes a lot of time. And what are we doing now is using AI workflows. So for example, we have a call like this with our client, and we have a set of questions where we gather all the information that we need to generate the right strategy. So what we're doing is, for example, with tools like Gumloop or 8n8, we create workflows. One workflow could be have a call with a client. Based on this call, prepare the framework for the documentation based on each response or in each part of the conversation. Give me keyword ideas, and then we connect those keyword ideas to our SEO tool to actually test if those ideas have a search market. And then from that, we actually speed up a small of a process that we would have to do otherwise manually. But building that process properly, which involves a lot of data analysis, a lot of data points, requires a lot of internal development, preparing databases, making sure that if something cannot be completed with the tool that we are using for automation, we need to build something ad hoc. We need to understand how to, we cannot tune an LLM, but we can use RAG, which is RAG implementation. So we have an entire set of rules and playbooks and data, and we feed that as a RAG system so we can generate a proper strategy based on accurate data instead of prompting bunches of CSVs and a lot of data, because that will generate bad output because it will lose context. Because sometimes we work with sheets with 10,000 rows or 20,000 rows. So we cannot rely on prompting 10,000 rows of data to ChatGPT. It will break. It won't get us anything back. So even though we are optimizing each of the steps of the process that we manually do, because it's extremely complex in terms of the mindset that you need to, or the mind power that you need to have, it requires to have technical knowledge. So it's not as easy as you plug two tools and they are working perfectly. What we are doing, it requires us to set up databases, making sure that we connect correctly. So some technical abilities are needed to proper automation. But there are other automations that are a lot easier. For example, give this blog post to the tool, and the blog post gives you like 10 different LinkedIn posts. That is a lot easier, and that is also a solid strategy. We are just testing, but we don't have anything live yet. We are kind of running what we do together with the manual work. So we are doing 4 times the work sometimes, just to see if the output of the AI is good, it is safe at some point to leave the AI to do the work. But we haven't reached that point yet.
Wow, I really like the thought process and how rigorous that process is, right? And like contrary to what most people believe, right? Why can't you just use AI? Like what you
Yeah.
just said, right? There's so much thought that goes behind building a solution that actually works for your business and your clients, and that takes time, expertise, and knowledge. And you saw value in investing and pivoting in that space. So I think that is always awesome to hear. Now, for perhaps listeners who are founders and they know SEO a little bit, but they haven't fully invested in it, and yet they see ChatGPT come along and they're like, what do I do now? What is one piece of advice you can give them?
Most likely, where your industry is, if you focus on being number one on Google or in traditional search engines, you will be safe. If you want to keep developing for only AI search, don't focus on AI search only. Focus on every other single channel that you might think of, because that will leverage your appearance into AI search. That is the piece of advice I can give. So don't focus on AI search only on AI search. Like AI search is nothing. Everything that is around it, everything that is around your brand will help you to rank better or to appear and be mentioned in AI search.
And that's a golden piece of nugget right there. Okay, so if you are listening, you know what to do. Now, Jairo, thank you so much for sharing your insights.
A pleasure.
Where can our listeners find you and who should reach out to you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. I try to post 5-6 times per week, everything related with SEO and LLMs. You can find me also on my website, organichackers.com, that I co-founded with Patrick Wawak, a fantastic technical SEO as well. And you can reach out to me if you want to know anything about AI search and SEO, like whatever question you might have, because that actually questions push me to research deeper. So because people is asking me stuff, I have to go and find the answer because I don't know it. Most of the time, I don't know many answers. So as long as you have interest in AI search and SEO, you can reach out to me. If you really want to fix your rankings, your SEO rankings, and if you have a brand that has thousands of visitors per day, then I'm the person that can help you to actually leverage much better results.
Awesome to hear. Thank you so much again for sharing your expertise and insights, Jairo. And thank you folks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the bell for more actionable AI and marketing insights. We will see you next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.